Welcome to Cyber Materials Ask Me Anything Cyber, a fun, interactive weekly event for everything cybersecurity. Join us every week at noon Eastern Time for a high-energy, quick-hit recap of the week's biggest cyber stories, from data breaches and threat intel to major legal updates. Whether it's a high-profile hack, a new APT on the rise, or a must-attend summit, we've got it covered. But that's not all. We'll also break down the latest job market trends, share our thoughts on cyber stocks, and give you actionable insights to stay ahead. And of course, we wrap things up with what makes this show special: live Q&A with you. Have a question about a breach? Want to know how a threat works? Curious about getting started in cyber? Let us know and we'll answer it live. Without further ado, let's get this event started.
Welcome everyone to Ask Me Anything Cyber. Today we have a very interesting guest, someone that has been building his community for the past 8 years and has built an amazing network, which is a driven space focused on offensive and defensive cloud security that runs at major conferences like DEF CON, RSA, and sometimes you can find them at some B-sides around the world. So I would like to welcome you all, the founder of Cloud Village, Jayesh. Thank you, Jayesh. Welcome. How are you?
Hey, Sophia, thank you for having me. I am doing well. How about you?
I'm great, and I'm really excited to get to know about all this amazing community you have built before, like for the past 8 years. You were telling me since 2019, right? 2018.
Yeah. 2019.
2019, yeah. So
Yeah.
that's great because this looks like a huge something like that is building up, and I'm all ears to hear about how you guys started. But first, I do have a poll for our community, and it's about how familiar are you with cloud security. So I want everybody here to say if you're a beginner, you have some experience, you're working on it, or you are an expert. And then if you have any question for Jayesh, please hit them up on the chats. I will be popping out throughout the show. So before we get everything started, I want to know about you, Jayesh, about your amazing community and about Cloud Village. How did you guys start it?
Uh, yeah. I've been in security for the last 15 years with different roles, starting as an ethical hacker to all the way till CISO, with working with different firms in different geographies. Cloud Village is something which we started in 2019. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
how we got to it was kind of, there's nothing fun. It's just very straightforward that in 2018, I was presenting an open source in DEF CON demo labs, and this was something I'd built in 2016 and was continuously being developed. We used to do CSPM. I don't think the name even was coined CSPM at that time. I was just looking for
Yeah.
misconfiguration and built a tool around it. And I got into, like, that was my first trip to the West Coast, and I got introduced to this amazing concept of villages. After I was done with my presentation, I was going around, and I realized that Cloud Village, like, nothing around cloud security was there. So I was impressed with how villages were operating. They were like a mini con inside the bigger con of DEF CON.
Yeah.
And I was like, hey, the cloud security village is not there. So
I
I was like,
mean,
let's
this is
start.
the future.
Yeah, I'm
Cloud
like,
is the future.
uh, yeah, sooner or later it's going to come up, but rather than waiting for it, why not start? So I started this and happened to meet some really good set of volunteers. And I think at the beginning, there were just like four folks who were there in 2019. And then around a few folks joined us on the event, and we kind of pulled it off. And we saw that there were lines at the talks, the CTA was doing well. And long story short, we've expanded to different conferences over the last 8 years, and we have increased the type of events we do. We used to do talks earlier, CTF, sometimes a combination of both, sometimes single. We have labs in place. We are putting up panels as well this year. So every year we keep experimenting with new things and see what sticks. And if people love it, then we keep bring it back.
And this is amazing because it looks like a wonderful journey. And I want to know, how has Cloud Village evolved since your early DEF CON to what are we going to see at DEF CON in August?
Yeah, so I think we were in Flamingo, if I'm not wrong, the first year we were there. Like Flamingo Hotel, DEF CON used to be in
Yes,
Four
which is
Horses at
closed
that time.
now.
Yeah, yes. So we had a small room, and our CTF was online, and we had a seating capacity of 80 people, if I'm not wrong, and we were
Wow.
running through full. And up till now, where we have different spaces in different cons depending on the size of audience and what we plan to bring. But last year and this year, we're gonna have 5,200 square feet of space in DEF CON, which we will break it down into three rooms,
That's
and one will
crazy.
yeah, one will have talks, the other will have two labs in parallel, and there's a CTF room. So for folks who want to do learn about latest and greatest via medium of a talk or a panel, you can be into that 301. It's on the third level of LVCC. And labs are 302, and then 303 is CTF if you want to just go and hang out with people playing CTF. So talks are periodic like sessions. Labs are fully hands-on if you want to come learn a technique from
Yeah,
people who have been doing this in and out. And CTF is all signing up, getting into those capture the flag events, and we do award top three teams as well, and it's been fun so far.
that's crazy. So you're gonna have a lot of things going on. And I wanted to know from you, what makes like Cloud Village special, different from other villages that you have seen?
I think every village is a small world in itself, and every village founder or the community runs it the way they want to run
True.
it, and that's the beautiful part of it. So I believe every village is unique in their own sense. With Cloud Village, obviously, it's everything about cloud security, but and we make sure how we can bring different events to the cons to have different experience, and we are also very mindful about if we are heading into DEF CON, for example, we know we are very mindful of the kind of people who are going to come in. So the type of content stays that way. But whereas if we are going to a conference which is going to have more students in place, we make sure that we kind of bring the level up to them so that we're not overwhelming
That's
them, but
nice.
we are
Yes,
acting as a stepping stone to learn for them, right?
that's amazing.
Uh, and every conference we are at, we make sure there is knowledge transfer via talks, labs, or CTF for beginners and all the way to seasoned folks, so that everyone who comes in takes something back home and can use it.
That's great because that's what communities are all about. And of course, we were once a newbie. So it's great that you also open doors for them. So we need more people in the workforce. And I'm glad you are taking part of filling the gap that it's like in cybersecurity right now. And just to go a little bit more technically, I can say, what is the most like common cloud misconception you still see among like experienced engineers? Because your community is huge, so you may have a lot of experience. One, and what is the most common like misconception that everybody comes to your village and say, you know what, I do these things this way. So why do you think it should be done the other way?
Yes, it amazes me that the misconception. I've been tinkering with cloud for a better part of 11 years now, 10 years rather, and every time I see the misconception also evolve. Earlier, it was a decade back. It was as simple as we are on cloud, so we are secure, and I'm like
Yeah.
that was something which took me back. I'm like, what's going on? Because as a security guy, you never want to hear that okay, we are using something and we are all good, right?
Yeah.
And now, oh, fast forward now, I think the misconceptions have changed a little bit. That hey, we have the CSPN tool. A lot of cloud issues
Mhm.
are around misconfiguration, whether we like it or not. And now it has evolved to that hey, we have this tool we have plugged in for a cloud
Mhm.
misconfiguration, and it does the job. And I'm like, it's not going to do the job on itself. There is someone who has to vet it. There's someone who
Yeah.
has to see whether it's false positive or not. So I've seen misconception evolve, but now I think the good part is everyone is aware that you need a cloud security tool to help you. Uh, I think journey beyond that is where companies bring in engineers and other things. But I believe just a tool cannot fix the problem for you. You have to go that not even an extra mile. That's the mile to
Yeah.
go basically to have
Yeah.
engineers and have someone vet it.
And I've heard this a lot because I know a lot of people are saying there's no one tool that is going to save everything and is going to protect everything. You always need some, technical knowledge or background to actually understand how things work out. So I'm glad you brought it up. And I also wanted to know, like, for you, what is the silent killers in cloud security? Like, everybody is not taking it serious, but it is leading to major bridges that we have seen in the past.
I think on a very low level, handling misconfiguration definitely comes in.
Mm,
On a more technical side, I have seen assume role functionality doing a lot of damage, where you're like, hey, I have this one entity who can talk to another entity. Let me give privileges to the A entity of
yeah.
assuming different roles. And if an attacker gets a hold of that, the assume role can do the propagation further. I understand that DevOps team does it for ease and automation as well, but then you have to make it go through a security review. Otherwise, you're just one box away to getting
Hmm.
a lot of damage done to your environment. So that's
Yeah.
more often than not, it keeps popping up, and in a lot of good research as well.
And my next question is sort of like aligns a little bit to one of the questions I'm getting here. I'm still Substack. I have Ken-san here saying, "Excuse me, but I'm in a humanities student at university in Japan, and they say they become interested in cybersecurity related skills. Now, however, he's seen a rapid development of AI in recent years. So my question here is, how do you see AI changing cloud attacks automation in the next 2 years? And to pop up and do this question, this person is saying, I feel like my recent skills are being obsolete. How would you like answer these two like questions related to AI?
I think AI, if you look at it, if you look at AI as a tool, you can do wonders with it. If you look at it as, hey, let me offload my work to this entity, then you're looking for trouble in my biased opinion. So
Mm-hmm.
I believe the environment and cloud will evolve with the use of AI, as in you can use it for, so cloud is a bunch of functionalities, right? Now, whether
Mm-hmm.
anywhere, any cloud provider use, they have a bunch of functionalities in place, right? And issues pop up or security issues come up because there are some gaps in it. Now it's going to be like a tug of war between how many gaps you leave in your system, uh, how many are getting breached or
Mm-hmm.
attack can happen, and how quickly you can patch it, right? But
Yeah.
the beauty of it is all of it can be at some point be done well with AI. Right now there are a lot of breadcrumbs which kind of comes up. It definitely makes everything faster, but I believe it is nuanced at times. And if you're able to keep a check on it, right, you can have your automated ways of keeping a check on it, or you can have your manual ways if need be,
Yeah.
right, to keep a check on it.
And
But I think that would be a good evolution.
and to build on this question that Kenton is asking, they're saying that what kind of things do you think people should study going forward with AI in the mix and feeling that their skills are being obsolete?
I would
And I feel like this is a
still,
question for everybody in cyber, right?
yeah,
It doesn't apply only to cloud security; it goes every aspect, right?
yeah. So I would still boil it down to foundation, that your foundational knowledge of how a service operates. Cloud is a bunch of services in one place, right? And every
Mhm.
year, every cloud provider releases bunch more services. How neatly and how to the ground you know those services and how they function. You can use AI
Mhm.
as a vehicle to to springboard yourself into execution. But learning it still, I believe, boils down to your foundational knowledge of how good you know a particular service operates. The breadth at which it operates also plays a very important role in security, because sometimes engineers or DevOps can get myopic about that. Hey, I use this service to do an X thing, but they may not know that that service also opens up a Y portal which can be abused, right? So this knowledge,
Exactly.
AI, I don't know when it will get or if it will get to a like right down to the last thing. But
Mhm.
it's, if you look at it, your foundational knowledge, the depth of that knowledge, and then you use AI as a vehicle to make to propagate or move you faster, might just be the thing. And yeah, that's how I would look at it.
Okay, that's great. And we also, I always like to bring people's like perspectives also to our conversation. We have someone on LinkedIn. He is talking about. I still think metadata exposure in cloud environments it's more common than many teams realize. Would you like
Yes.
to pile on this or disagree?
Yes, metadata has been an issue since IMDS V1 was there. Like some every cloud provider uses it differently. AWS uses it. Like metadata is like specific IP address, and you can pull in a lot of data out of it. They have
Yeah.
released a patch, like not a patch, an upgraded version rather. Patch is the wrong terminology, where you by
Hmm.
default it stays a little more secure. You can't abuse it, but there is a migration time. There are some entities who are like, hey, we've been using IMDS V1 and we've not migrated to V2, and metadata is still an exposure.
Yeah.
Now, if you pair that to again some of the common issues like assume role, it becomes a nightmare again in a different capacity altogether. But
Hmm.
metadata has been around, has been there. It is an important service for sure. How you
Yeah.
guardrail it is what defines that it doesn't get abused. So yeah.
Yeah. Well, actually, 7-Eleven already was a breach because of metadata exposure. So they were able to get into some information through those type of forget. I forget to secure these because it was not important, and now we have to deal with a lot of fines. But anyway, that's how things are around here. Now, I have one question, and it's gonna be like also like sort of trying to get advice for those trying to stay ahead. What is one thing engineers should be learning today so they can stay ahead? And from your experience, because you have a huge community and you heard about a lot of their difficulties, what is your one advice?
Uh, you mean cloud security engineers, if I'm not wrong. We're not talking about DevOps people, right?
Yeah,
Not
yeah, yeah,
just
yeah, yeah. Of
cloud.
course, cloud
Okay,
security engineers.
fair, fair. So I think because again, a lot of it boils down to the amount of services cloud has. You, it's hard to have breadth of knowledge for all the services, right? And this is where I believe being in community, whether you are attending or you are volunteering, becomes very important, because you might be an expert or have your skills around certain abusing certain services, but you may not have idea of few services or haven't tinkered with it, or new services have come up, right? And that's where if you are in part of a community or have been participating in events, right, that's where you kind of
True.
bridge the gap, because you have
Mm-hmm.
people from different walks walk in to build a community to share the knowledge, right? And
Yeah.
that way you are, via just the osmosis of knowledge, you get to know that, hey, okay, this was happening, or I played this CTF and the guy next to me knew this service and he or she
Yeah.
was abusing it, or I volunteered somewhere and they taught me, okay, this is also part of the game when you like when you're building a challenge, right? So
Yeah.
I think the breadth makes it easier. Like due to the breadth, it's easier to be part of like-minded folks who are tinkering with different aspects of cloud, and you kind of springboard your learning and stay ahead of the game.
That's great. And now that you brought up your CTF, what is the philosophy behind designing your CTF, right? The challenges and who is behind those challenges, like the bright minds from Club Village.
So we have a big secure CTF team just in Cloud Village, and I've been blessed with finding some, like meeting some beautiful people via this community, and some of them over the years have become leads, and we have four different leads for CTF, because when we look at CTF we think challenges, but then there is
Mm-hmm.
different people building it, so you need to have an identity access side of it, because we welcome new people in and we have to make sure they have the right access. Then we have an infrastructure team altogether inside CTF, which makes sure that everything is up and running, nothing breaks. There are terraformization we do in terms of automation of challenges, so that if it breaks at any point we can spin it up. So there are different aspects. There is, at any given point, there are 30 to 40 people working
Mm-hmm.
towards building a bigger CTF, because that's how it's not easy to come by ideas and build challenges. Hence, we started doing like a repository of challenges as well, which we can use. And why that is also helpful, because any conference, as I said earlier, we walk into, we look at the demographics, we look at the skill level, because you can't know everything, right? You got to start
Yeah.
somewhere. So we make sure that if we have a beginner friendly audience, we kind of bring challenges to that level more. We still bring higher level challenges as well, or harder challenges, but then we make sure that we are mindful of the kind of people who are playing. They're not overwhelmed. We spread it across all the major cloud providers. We always tinker with new clouds also if
Yes.
needed. So
So
making
everybody
sure
gets a
that,
chance.
yes, anyone who comes in goes back home happy with some learning. That's what
That's
we're aiming.
amazing. That's amazing. And just to wrap things up, what's next for Cloud Village? Where we are gonna see you next?
Yes. So next, we're going to be in DEF CON. DEF CON is one of our big event. We will be in Las Vegas Convention Center, level 3, 311, 312, 313. We have talks, panels, labs, CTF, a lot of different things going on. We might be in, like, we are looking towards doing more conferences as well. We might be in some other conferences as well. TBD on that. We are having some discussions on it. But the idea is that we have stumbled upon this beautiful place, and why not spread it, spread it to different geographies, and we
That's
try our best to do
amazing.
it. So let's see whether it takes us.
That's great. So, Jayesh, thank you so much for your time. I'm really happy to hear about Cloud Village. And everybody can get involved. They can visit cloud-village.org. They can reach out to Jayesh. He's very active on LinkedIn. I've seen you, and I've seen Cloud Village also very active on LinkedIn. So, I'm very much looking forward to meeting you maybe at DEF CON. Or if you're ever in New York, just hit me up. We can set something up here.
Sure, Sophia. Thanks a lot for having me. This has been a pleasure, and I look forward to seeing you soon. Cheers.
Thank you so much. Bye, everyone. So that was Jayesh from Cloud Village. I had a blast learning about from what these guys are doing, from their CTFs talks, and I can't wait to meet them at DEF CON and see how their challenges and what is coming up and everything. But as you know, our segment also has something that we have included this 2026, and it's Know Your Enemy. We're gonna be talking about one specific threat actor that is making noise out there, and this really concerns law firms. So let's watch a quick video about what Know Your Enemy is.
Every cyber attack has a face, from malware and scams to the actors behind them. Know your enemy. Stay one step ahead.
So today we're gonna be talking about the silent ransom group. Here's what is happening right now in the cyber threat landscape, and honestly, it's a little bit scary because it's not the traditional ransomware anymore. A group called Silent Ransom Group, and is also known as Luna Moth, it has been targeting law firms in the US using just pure social engineering and not like malware to infect their victims. Instead of encrypting systems like a classic ransomware group, they are impersonating IT support staff. They trick employees into giving them access, steal sensitive data, and then they extort their company, threatening them publicly. Now, the attack usually starts with a phone call or a phishing email that looks like it's coming from an internal IT attacker. Now, what they do very, very good social engineering. They detect suspicious activity. They need to remote access to help their machines. The classic technical support scam that we've seen in the past. Now, once the employee trusts them, they convince the victim to install legitimate remote management tools like AnyDesk, Quick Assist, Soho Assist, or even Rust Desk that people are very used to these tools. From a security monitoring perspective, the traffic can look completely normal because they are real enterprise tools that they are using the IT teams on a daily basis. Now, Once inside, they move very fast. In less than 5 to 10 hours, they exfiltrate sensitive legal documents, they contact clients, they get client records, and sometimes they get access to PII, which is very high value in the confidential market. So now, all these firms, they need to be aware of phishing scams and unsolicited phone call from IT teams that claim to fix your computer. Now, the takeaway from this is that your biggest vulnerability is not your software because it's unpatched, it's your employee, the human, the trust. Once they do that, they gain trust of your employees, and that's when they install these remote tools. Now, the FBI is recommending organizations verified IT identities before granting access, disabling unnecessary remote access tools, and blocking risky services where possible, and enforcing phishing enable resistant multi-factor authentication in all their accounts so they are not able to bypass it. And one important thing is always to educate and train your employees and show them how to recognize these social engineering attacks. Because we know that in attacks like this, the hacker doesn't break in technically first, they convince someone to open the door for them. And this was Know Your Enemy for today. You will be able to find it on our Substack later today. You can read all about it, their attack vectors, how they infiltrate, and some list of victims that have been affected by the silent ransomware group. And as we always do, we read about the cyber briefing headlines, the top cybersecurity headlines of the week. But first, let's watch a quick video and ask your time to subscribe to our cyber briefing either on LinkedIn, Substack, or Medium.
A new cyber briefing is here. Same essential insights, now with sharper headlines and a much better flow. Get the latest on the threat landscape, incidents, and the real-world impact with executive risk and cybernomics trends. Stay informed on new policies, numbers, and the latest moves for your career in cyber. Whether you're on LinkedIn, Medium, or our new home on Substack, get the briefing that keeps you 2 steps ahead. Check out the refreshed edition and subscribe today.
So, for those who have read today's briefing and this week's briefing, these headlines may be familiar to you. But for those who are not subscribed, now is your time to do it. And we're going to be talking about a threat alert that is very important for everybody to know. And it's about fake ChatGPT sites that are delivering malware to Windows and Mac users. So, if you are user of this popular AI tool, which is ChatGPT, some researchers have discovered of a fake ChatGPT download website that looks almost identical to the real one. Same branding, same dark theme, and even like a small typo squatting on their domain. So it flies under the radar. People don't seem to find difference between the legit one and the illegitimate one. And because they are installing ChatGPT on their computer as an app, that's what this website is making the users to do. That's when they're installing the malware. What makes this campaign very special, dangerous, is because it targets both operating systems, Windows and Mac users, which is not, we can say, a common practice. But we've seen that Windows users are downloading this file, they get this malicious executable, and it opens a back door that starts a communication with the attacker control server. It will be stealing credentials, browser data, and establish a persistence on the machine. Now, for Mac users, it's even more aggressive than for those Windows users. The fake installers delivers atomic stealers, which is a very common malware for Mac OS, and also known as AMOS, which is a well-known info stealer. Now, this malware targets safe passwords, browser cookies, Telegram sessions, crypto wallets, and even keychain data. So it's a little bit more aggressive for Mac users as opposed to Windows users. Now, honestly, I can say that this attack works because attackers understands user behavior. People search things like download ChatGPT app and they click on the first sponsor link on Google search results and they don't double check the random link they see and assume it's legitimate because it appears as a sponsor ad. And we talked about it in the past how Google should be tackling people threat actors paying to position their links higher and sponsoring. And now we're also seeing this trend expand beyond ChatGPT. We've seen for fake Claude, fake DeepSeek, and even fake Grok download, and it has been also used to distribute this type of malware. Now, one really important takeaway here is macOS is no longer safe by default. I know there's a lot of myth around like I have a Mac or I have an iPhone, so I'm protected. Threat actors are increasingly building Mac-specific stealers because they know many users they assume they are immune. Now, these campaigns, we know that the malware is not exploiting a technical vulnerability. Again, it is exploiting trust. And that's the classic phishing that we've seen. Now, the next headline, it's about the 7-Eleven data breach. And as we talked before with Jayesh, this was an extortion-focused attack, and as opposed to the traditional ransomware. 7-Eleven confirmed that the threat actors can unauthorized access to their system through to a store franchise document metadata, which it was not customer payment system, but it was an internal business record tied to the current and former prospective franchises. This breach was discovered in back in April, and they're starting to notify customers and victims that were part of this breach. They expose information, including name, addresses, phone numbers, emails, date of birth, and in some cases, social security numbers and driver license information. The threat actor linked to this attack was known as Shiny Hunters. We talked about it in one of my previous shows. So if you want to know more about them, you can check our previous episode. We talked specifically about Shiny Hunters and the Canvas attack. And it's very important to know what it is like for defenders, that your secondary systems are no longer secondary, and you need to always secure everything related to your data. It doesn't matter if it's thin or it's not thin. Now, for our next headline and last one, this is sort of a good news. We can say that, I don't know, good news for the broadcasters, I can say. Italian authorities, they dismantled Cinema Gold, which is a piracy app, and it was the anti-piracy enforcement from Italy, and it's showing how far organized streaming piracy has evolved. This platform, it was used for illegal streaming, and it was structured to stream Netflix, Disney, Sky, DAZN, Spotify, and every major subscription platform for a price, though. It was not for free, so you also had to subscribe to this piracy app. And what they did in simple terms, the police in Italy, they disrupted these organization, they seized their servers and their domains. Now, the takeaway is it's not just like about like the illegal streaming per se, but it was about the industrialization of these type of services. So you still had to pay, but for a very low price. And those were the three headlines we picked for this week. But if you want to get the full rundown or everything happening in cybersecurity, you should subscribe to our cyber briefing that it comes out every morning at 10 a.m. Eastern time. So if you want to learn more, subscribe to Cyber Briefing. So for our next event that is happening next week, we're going to have a live streaming from New York City directly. We're going to be talking about the bridge between Latin American cybersecurity force and the North American cybersecurity force, and how we can join forces to fight cybercrime. Thank you so much for joining today. Ask Me Anything Cyber. Thank you, Jayesh and Cloud Village, for taking the time to participate at the show. See you next week live from New York City. Bye.
Thank you for watching. Stay tuned for our next Ask Me Anything Cyber, a fun, interactive weekly event for everything cybersecurity. Join us every week at noon Eastern Time for another high-energy recap of the week's biggest cyber stories. From data breaches and threat intel to major legal updates. Whether it's a high-profile hack, a new APT on the rise, or a must-attend summit, we've got it covered. But that's not all. We'll also break down the latest job market trends, share our thoughts on cyber stocks, and give you actionable insights to stay ahead. And of course, we wrap things up with what makes this show special, live Q&A with you. Have a question about a breach? Want to know how a threat works? Curious about getting started in cyber? Let us know and we'll answer it live. See you next week.